And I even at some point saw a guy got a couple of fingers cut off. I'm Thomas guffi Vestergaard, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Thomas.
Hello.
What's up? How you doing, Thomas?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
So, where were you born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Denmark, in a little town called Jystrup. It's about 100 kilometers from Copenhagen, and my father was a drunken alcoholic, and he sold weapons to bikers and skinheads when I was a child. When I was 12 years old, we were shooting beer cans with semi-automatic rifles in the backyard. So that was kind of where I grew up.
So were you intrigued by the biker lifestyle when you were younger?
Yeah, it was the only thing I knew, actually. And as I said, my father was very abusive, and he was drinking a lot. So I never knew what kind of attitude he had when he came home. Sometimes he beat me up, or my mother, or my little brother. So I was never safe anywhere. So, and I got bullied at school as well. So my life's kind of sucked all the way around. And I actually started drinking when I was 12. And I got my parents got divorced around that time as well. And that was the time where I found out in school that if I used my fist, people would leave me alone. They wouldn't bug me. They wouldn't say anything to me. So that was kind of my way of dealing with all the bullying and stuff. If I was the aggressive one, then I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. For me, that became my kind of mantra. This is what I want to do, and from going from my home, where I had to be low key all the time, from being in school and people were afraid of me and stuff like that, that gave me a kind of a boost. So I felt that, well, this is awesome. I'll just carry on this way. When my parents got divorced, I got my first motorcycle when I was 14. I started hanging around with some people some were younger than me. They had scooters, and some were older. They had bikes also, motorcycles. And we made a lot of trouble, and actually a lot of them came from families with abuse as well. But there was also a lot of them that came from rich families, which they had the same feeling of they weren't good enough, and the parents didn't care about them because they had to go to their parties and their things with the firm and neighbors and stuff like that. So they just got a bunch of money, then you can buy pizza for your friends or something, and bye, see you later. And we kind of made our own community and made up our own rules because there were no parents to tell us otherwise.
What kind of stuff would you guys do? What kind of stuff would you guys go out and do?
Yeah, we would steal stuff to buy alcohol, and or just steal alcohol. We're drinking. A lot of them were smoking as well. And we steal cars, drive them to smash them or whatever. uh, kind of making up our own rules as we went along. I remember one time that we stole some beers from what's it called? Where you have the cars.
Drive-in?
Yeah, from a house down the street, and we broke in, stole all the beers, and then we held a party, uh, three houses down. Very smart. So he figured out who it was really quick, and he came over, and he was actually pretty nice about it. Said that he knew that we were the one that stole his beers, and if we just put them back after the weekend, it was fine. And he talked about he was a member of this motorcycle club and stuff like that. And instead of just saying, okay, we'll do that, a buddy of mine, he just headbutted him. And some of my friends helped him. They just start kicking him in the head. And because we didn't like people telling us what to do, we'll figure out what we're going to do. And after that, I don't know if it was true that he was in a biker club, and I don't want to mention which one because it doesn't matter. But that was the day after. There were these big BMWs with black windows driving around asking about my friend and the local area where we used to hang out. So he had to disappear for a while. And then another group kind of hang around at the bars that we were at. And back then in Denmark, you could get beers everywhere. Kids could go in and buy beers in the supermarket. People didn't care. So I used to hang out at the bars and restaurant drinking beer when I was 12, 13, 15.
Why didn't they care? Why would they let kids buy beer?
Yeah, it was normal back then. It just most of them thought, they are buying beer for their parents or cigarettes for their parents or something like that. I think once or twice I've been throwing out of a bar because they knew I wasn't old enough. But otherwise than that, they didn't care. As long as we had money, they sell us whatever, In Denmark, it's actually legal to buy alcohol when you're 15. So yeah, people didn't care that much. It wasn't that big of a deal back then.
Was there a lot of motorcycle clubs around your area at that time? And did you have any ambitions? What did you want to do when you got older?
Yeah, I didn't care much. For me, it was just like no accountability. I had a bad childhood. My parents are dickheads and they treated me like shit. So now I can treat the world like shit. I didn't care. And my dad used to tell me when he was beating me up, you ain't worth nothing. You'll never amount to anything. And you're a piece of shit. So that became my reality, or maybe I should say my excuse, because
I had the same thing happen to me, and I believed it. I believed that. Yeah,
I was my own worst enemy. I fuck up everything because why should I make an effort? Because I'm gonna ruin it anyway. After this incident happened, another group of bikers hang out at our local bar and gave us free beer and stuff like that. And they said, "Oh, you're tough guys. You can put down an adult, and you're just kids. And well, you can come with us, and we can teach you how really things are going on and stuff like that, And then we started going out with these guys because they gave us some attention, and kind of boosted our personality a bit. So but they just used us. You know, we were standing guard when they sold drugs or when they broke into apartments, and also we hang out at places where homes of people that didn't pay their drug money. So we would call them when they got home so they could come and collect. Even sometimes we were there when they beat up these guys that couldn't pay. And I even at some point saw a guy got a couple of fingers cut off with a scissor because he couldn't pay, and they just cut two fingers off him and threw him in the toilet and just let them flush.
He just flushed his fingers down the toilet.
He just flushed his fingers down the toilet, and for me that was kind of crazy. But and a lot of the younger guys I was with, that was too much for them to handle, so they just left. You know, they couldn't deal with that. But for me, I didn't have any other place to go.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a family. I didn't have anybody. So I need to this needs to work for me because I have nowhere else to go. So I stayed, and it became worse. I remember a time where I was invited to a party, and we came in this restaurant, and there was this back door, and hey, Thomas, come here, you need to talk to this guy. And came in this little room where all the guys I knew were sitting behind a desk, and there was only this one light on the desk, you know, these old ones. And they put me in a chair in front of all these people, and the guy in front of me, I knew him very well. He just said, okay, Thomas, you fucked up. Now it's over. And then he took up a 45, put it on the table, and he said, what do you have to say for yourself? I said, I don't know shit.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking you did something wrong? Are you trying to think in your mind, like, what did I do?
Yeah, of course, because I did a lot of things wrong back then. So I probably did some shit, you know. And when I'm sitting there trying to figure out what the hell I did, he takes up this gun, he points it right in my face, and then he just pulls the trigger. Click. And then all these guys, they just start laughing. It was just a joke. And I'm sitting there. I don't know if I'm going to laugh or cry or whatever. I didn't think it was very funny, but they apparently did. So they took me in the next room. They gave me a beer. They laughed, and like nothing ever happened. So that was kind of up.
These guys are all full patch members, and
No,
hang around?
They were actually in a separate group. They were hang-arounds for a full patch club. They didn't want them as members because they were fucked up on drugs and alcohol all the time. And if they weren't fighting each other, they were fighting other people. But they had no problem with paying these guys to do some other shit around. And actually, they kind of played both ends of the fence, you know. The other clubs also paid them to do things, and other gangs. So they were kind of in the middle. They were being used for cash, but nobody could really trust them 100%.
Is there a big underworld community in Denmark?
I don't think it's as big as in other countries, and I don't think it's as organized as it might seem sometimes. But yeah, there is. But also under the biker war in Denmark between the Hells Angels and the Bandidos, and some of the local gangs with immigrants.
Yeah.
Most of the incidents were kind of crazy, you know, because then some guy he hears about, well, some of these guys from this group, they're hanging out on this corner, and then okay, we have to do something, and then they get a bike and they drive by, and no, they didn't see anything. There were no guys there, but they saw a guy that looks like one of them, so they shoot him instead. And he's not part of the other club. He's just some normal dude that has some clothes that looks like some gang member. And then the other club gets angry because they didn't shoot one of ours, but they thought they shot one of ours, so we have to shoot one of them. So it's totally fucked up, you know. But in this situation, for me also, it was because I did a lot of mistakes, because I didn't know the rules and I was only 16 at the time, you know. So some of the people we were riding with, they got a little jealous at me because I got a free pass sometimes when I did I wasn't supposed to. At one point, there were two guys that were picked up and charged for something they did years ago. And they started a little rumor that I might be the one that told the police about this. So at one point, I was invited to a party. And we drove out into the country to this big barn, and I was tied with duct tape to a chair, and I was tortured for about 2 hours.
You were the guest of honor.
Yeah, I was the guest of honor. I was the party.
What did they do to you?
Yeah, they put on a helmet with also duct tape around so I couldn't look out. And somebody peed in it first. So the smell of pee and this helmet on, and they beat me with baseball bats and burned me with cigarettes. And at one point, I remember that there two guys are standing behind me, and they switch with hitting me with baseball bats on the helmet. And it actually hurt a bit because kind of the electricity, or what you call it, down the spine from every hit. It was like a knife. Yeah, exactly. It was like a knife in my spine, you know. And at one point, I throw up inside the helmet, but it's too small, so the puke can't get out. So the puke and the stench of piss actually it causes me to pass out. I wake up. I don't know how long it has been. But I wake up in this, I'm not tied to the chair anymore. I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's slippery, and I can get the helmet off. But my knees is like double size because of all the hitting. So I kind of crawl to the door. I can see the light under the door from the outside. And there's a switch beside the door, so I turn on the light before I open the door to go outside, and I can see the slippery thing I was lying in was my own blood. So I kind of made a path all the way to the door, and I stumble out of the door and down on some dirt road. But in the meantime, some of my other friends is at a bar, and these people show up bragging that They beat me to death, and they talk to these guys and figure out where this had happened. So they drive out, and I remember that I hear this car, and I see the headlights.
You're thinking it's them coming back, right?
Yeah, I actually are, but I'm so much in pain, so I just fall over in the ditch. And then I hear the door slam, and I hear a voice shouting my name. And these guys, they pick me up, and they hide me in an apartment for a couple of months. No hospital. So they are trying to find out why I recuperate there. They're trying to find out what the hell happened. And it turns out that the guy that actually did talk to the police was one of the guys that was beating me up. Yeah.
Yeah, to make it seem like it wasn't him.
Exactly. And
so you want to get revenge at this point?
At that point, I wasn't thinking about anything. I thought I was gonna die, but I feel this kind of hatred inside just getting worse and worse. And this guy, he disappears to Thailand or somewhere, and nobody can find him. And I remember at one point I see one of these guys from this club on the street, and he can't even look at me. He just he runs to the other side of the street and the other way. So I think, okay, I'm out of it. But because of all of this, I have this hatred inside me, and I get angry. And I actually become, I enlist in the party, most of all because I hate myself, but I can't live with that. So it's easier to hate everything, everything that is different than me, people I don't understand, and people I'm afraid of. And then I don't have to take any accountability, because then it's the immigrants' fault, or it's the government's fault, or whatever. Yeah. So, and this place I can hit in peace, and I can have a family with other people, and the other guys can have a community around that. So that became my new family. And I was very good at being I did everything I was told. I read my share of Adolf Hitler's speeches and books and stuff, because I wanted to get the recognition of being a good,
What type of stuff would you guys do? Like what would be your everyday thing? Like what would you guys do?
Actually, it's not, it wasn't that different from an ordinary political party. We made pamphlets, we have a local radio station, and we were holding meetings. At one point, we were even at local elections. So we did a lot of stuff, but of course, when we were out with our pamphlets, if there was we got in a fight with someone, or we also had fights with left-wing activists and the Antifa, of course.
Yeah.
And when I joined, bought a house in something called Greve. It's about 50 kilometers outside of Copenhagen. And it became the new headquarters from the party in Denmark. It was on the front page of the newspaper and everything. And the first night after it was in the front page, there was 200 left-wing activists outside our house, screaming and throwing bottles and paint bombs and over the fence, And I was lying on the other side with another new guy. We had our homemade shields, and he had a bread knife, and I had a bat, and we were just lying there with those shields
Yeah.
and the beer bottles and these paint bombs. It was just raining down on us.
How many
And
people are in the house? There's 200 people outside. How many people are in the house?
at that point, we were 6 people in the house.
Oh,
Only
man.
6. Yeah.
How many people in the organization?
And I think back then, of course, there's a lot of what do you say? A lot of guys that don't want to be known. That there was a lot of older people that just paid every month, but I think young guys in the house at one of the demonstrations, the big demonstrations, we were about 150 inside the house. There's so many, so you had to sit around the walls, inside and outside, because we couldn't. Wasn't enough space. But most of them were not members. They were and hooligans and stuff like that just liked the action, you know. And in the start, when we had the house, we had demonstrations almost every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Different political parties and the left wings, and so there was something going on all the time. But for me, it was kind of like a rush, you know, adrenaline rush. And I got hooked on that as well. And the violence. I felt alive when we were at our demonstrations, and some left wing throws a bottle, and we are maybe 100, 200 people just storming against them, just fighting, you know. It was a rush. And I remember even before I got a member, I was hanging out with some and other people from a place called Ballerup, that's also in the Copenhagen area. It was like hooligans. We were some guy would call up some of the immigrants and say, "Yeah, we're gonna meet here and we're gonna fuck you up." And then 3 o'clock at night, we'll meet up at a football stadium or something like that, and we just with clubs and knives and bats, and we just kick out of each other. And then when the police come, we could hear the sirens. We just ran. It was totally fucked up, but and it was all about the adrenaline, you know. It could have been anybody. If I would have lived in Copenhagen, I would probably have been a left-wing activist. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter what, as long as you had an enemy, so we could fight. That was the main thing.
Did you have to go through an initiation process to get involved with this?
At the party, not really. They had connections in the police, so they did background checks. So they make sure they knew who you are.
Yeah,
and
you're not trying to infiltrate the club, right?
Exactly. We had an infiltrator at one point, a South African dude that came to visit. And after he had been there for 1.5 months, we find out that he was actually an informer from South African intelligence. And he had informed on other right-wing groups in South Africa. He was left with a choice to either leave all his belongings, his phone, his computer, everything, or leave with his feet first.
Yeah. Which one did he pick?
He left. He left his computer, everything. He didn't want to do anything.
When you're involved with this group, do you truly hate these people?
No, I don't do anymore. I don't think I ever did. I believed I did. Yeah. But I don't think I ever did. I just thought that I all my childhood, I was afraid of my father, you know.
Yeah.
And when I got older, I hated him because it was easier to hate than to fear.
Yeah.
So I think that for me and all the that happens in my life, I had to live a life that was black and white. I couldn't. There needed to be clear rules for my life because there was so much chaos around me. So I needed some kind of ideology or some kind of gang or group that could tell me this is how we do things.
Yeah.
Because everything else was just chaos for me. The party was great for me because you have this book. If there's anything you don't know about, you can just read it here. It could have been the Bible, but I chose this book. And also it was kind of the same rules as when I grew up. Do what you're told or you get up. So I understood the rules.
And that's how they treated. That's how they treated it there. Have you seen people that didn't follow the rules, and what happens to them?
In the motorcycle community, they get up. In the party, it depending on who you are and what you did. It wasn't often that people got beat up. Mostly, they just got demoted. We had a guy at a stormtrooper. He was a stormtrooper leader, like SA youth, and somebody saw that he was smoking, and that was frowned upon. So no drugs, no excessive drinking. So he got kind of kicked to the back of the line, and it never became the same again. Nobody trusted him. They looked down at him because of that. So that was consequences for everything.
Oh, so they didn't use drugs or anything. They were strict.
No, you had to work. If you didn't have work, if you were on welfare or something, everybody looked at you as a bum. So
did you have to give them all your money, or did you have to give them a certain amount?
no, there was a membership fee, and I know that every time we had some things that we want to do, when we were gonna buy a house in another end of the country, then they talked to all these old guys, some of them old from the war, but also people in the police, people in the government, people in high positions in some kind of company or whatever, and they would pay some money because they want to be a part of it, but because of their position in society, they couldn't be known. So they did what they could financially instead.
So how long do you stay with this group, and where does your life go from there?
Yeah, actually, there's another thing I like to say about it as well before we move on.
Yeah.
We had training camps in South Africa, East Germany, and Russia, where I was invited. If I wanted to join, I could go and learn urban warfare and how to make and stuff like that. I didn't go. We had some guys, a couple of guys that went to South Africa and fight with some of the white settlements. There was some trouble in the 90s with there was these pictures going around in the media with two white nationalists with and everything from South Africa. They were shot in their car by some black people. I don't know if I can say black, but I do it anyway.
Yeah, you can say you can say black.
Some of the guys in our organization, they thought that they would go down there and fight with these people against the blacks, and some of them, one of them came back, and he was a whole different person. He said he was down there and they were most of the white guys were just cowering in the churches, sitting and praying, while these gangs of blacks were burning their houses and their plantations and stuff like that. So he was kind of confused and lost all hope when he came back to Denmark.
I've seen some horrific stories about South Africa.
Yeah.
The things that they do to some of the white settlers that are there.
When this was going on in the 90s, they actually killed 3 families a week. And a family is like 2 children and 2 parents.
Yeah.
And horrific ways. It wasn't pretty at all.
Yeah, with like machetes and things, right?
Yeah, and they have the siblings have with each other before they kill them, and in front of their parents and stuff like that. It wasn't nice.
I mean, why would they even do something like that? Do they truly hate these people?
I think so, or they are just. I think that a lot of things happened under apartheid that wasn't good. I don't know. Some of the aftermath of the apartheid, some of the guards that some of the blacks in South Africa said that they didn't hate them, but they kind of got carried away in some way, or the power got to their head or something. I don't know, but I think that a lot of people get carried away when they have some power. A lot of people, they can't handle it. They can't handle it.
Yeah, and they just go overboard.
Yeah, I think that's what happens a lot of times. Also, we see in the Middle East and other places where different races fight against each other.
And you've been to quite a few places in the world, right?
Yeah, I've been to some places. I think that, of course, exists, but I think most of it is people trying to keep the torch alive, instead of just. Sometimes you have to just let it go, because there's no people today that own. So stop talking about it doesn't work anymore, and stop talking about evil Germans, because Germany does not exist anymore. And it's kind of like a lot of people want to keep these things alive, even though that no one today has done these things. So you can't hold people responsible for something their ancestors did. It doesn't work that way.
Where did it change for you from being a part of this? Where did it change for you?
It changed for me when I had this feeling when I was I was very good at holding speeches, and they called me Little Goebbels. And when I could get the crowd up and going, really get them up on their heels. And there was this one meeting we had where there was over 200 from different parts of the world, and I'll hold my speech, and afterwards they were kind of clapping, shouting my name, even got up on the tables and yelling and everything. And then at that moment, I felt alone. I really felt alone. And at that point, I didn't realize why, but afterwards I figured out that I knew deep inside that it wasn't me they were cheering. They were cheering what I was showing them. And I was just saying what I knew they wanted to hear. So I had a place I could fit in, and a place I could call a family and a home. But most of the time I was actually stressed and worried and afraid that they should learn how I really felt, that I felt like a failure, that I felt like a little boy inside. And I was actually afraid every day that because I felt like a fraud,
And did you
And
feel like you couldn't tell these people that?
yeah, I knew I couldn't show weakness.
It's
Uh,
just like when you're in prison. It's the same type of aspect, right? You can't show weakness at all.
yeah, that's true. And at this point, I started to kind of distinct myself from from the movement or party. And people started to notice that I changed behavior. They didn't like it. I started being more at home. I took a beekeeping course. I took a hunting license. I started building things at home, chicken coop, a new kitchen, and stuff like that, because I wanted to prove to myself that I was good at something else, that I was not just Thomas. Because at this point in my time, in my life, the only thing that I was ever applauded for was being a. So for me, I had to kind of try to break out of that character. And that was really hard, especially when this thing is going on. I also have a lot of broken relationships. I have 3 kids. I'm not allowed at this point of time. I'm not allowed to see them. I'm fighting custody battles, and I don't know at this point. They say I have a virus on my nervous system, but it's actually PTSD. They find that out later. I'm fighting all these things, and at the same time, people start dying around me. I have 3 guys. That was actually early, but I have 3 guys in my close vicinity of friends that they just want to try what it's like to get a fix, and they do it in one of them's apartment, and 2 of them die on the spot. The third one dies in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
So they all die in the
Yeah,
same. Wow.
they just wanted to try what's it like to get a fix, and they all die.
Did they do too much?
Yeah, they did way too much. They didn't know what they were doing.
Wow.
I have a friend of mine that was also doing drugs and taking hormones. He was very big. He was working out a lot, and I think he was about 30 or something. And then one Sunday morning, his wife wakes up and he's just cold. He's just dead.
Wow.
His his, his heart just gave up, and 6 months earlier just got a baby. So
Terrible.
yeah, I had a couple of other guys that stole a car and tried to ride from the police, and the police shot the car 16 times. They both died. A guy in Germany that I knew, he was a bouncer at a rally, and 2 left-wing activists come up to him, and they want to get in, and he said, "No, you're not allowed." And one of them pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head, and he dies. Also, a guy in Sweden, a young guy, I think he's 16 or something, 15, 16. He gets spotted by some immigrants. They saw him at a rally the weekend before, and then they beat him to death, and they almost cut his right arm off with a saw, because they didn't want him to go and make the signal in their town, So that was kind of brutal. I had some other guys that unalived themselves, sorry. And some that drove their car in a ditch or something because of alcohol or drugs as well. At that period, I lost, I think, 10 friends in a year or something. Just they died like flies. I felt it that way. At this point where I'm actually thinking about leaving the party, a guy from Germany that started a club down there or a party, he goes out and they found him a week later in a ditch, beaten to death. So I was kind of, yeah, this could be me, you know, because I was, at this point, I was number two. Number one, he was talking about he didn't want to do it anymore because he had some injuries from earlier Raleigh, where he got in a fight with the police, and he had been on top for almost 16 years at that point. So
are the police on you guys' side, or are they against you? Like,
they're against us. They sometimes they would follow us around and make sure that if we were going to the city and going out drinking or something, they would follow us around and go into the restaurant and the bars and say, if you serve these people, you're going to lose your license. So they were kind of trying to make an episode so they could arrest us and take us to jail.
have you been put in jail before?
I've been in jail 3 times, or not jail, but don't know what you call it in English, but the holding cell.
Yeah,
I believe.
just arrested and they put you in the holding cell.
Yeah, but they could never prove that I was a part of what was going on, so they let me go.
So when you're trying to leave this party, are you thinking about moving away?
At that point, I haven't thought that far. The old leader, he goes off, he quits, and then we get a new one. Because of my shift in behavior, they don't trust me anymore, but I'm allowed to stay on as number two. And this guy, he thinks he's the new king of IRA. He's totally in the head. So after a while, I'm sitting at the office of the headquarters with another guy. We are making the newspaper, and then I'm calling the old boss and telling him what's going on, and I'm saying this is not going to work. He's ruining everything we built up the last 16 years. And he's kind of playing along like he's my friend and say, oh, who else is not satisfied with this situation? And I trust him, so I name other names of the people I've been talking to.
And he tells him. He tells
him. So,
oh man.
So I'm leaving the house because I have my oldest daughter that weekend, a few hours, because I'm not allowed to see her any more than that at this point. So I'm leaving. And after I leave, I was told that 10 guys with hoodies and bats come into the office and beat up my friend and start asking him questions about where I am and what the fuck is going on. What are we doing? Are we trying to take over the party? Are we making a coup or something like that? And after a while, they figure out that that's not the case. So they let him go, and out the door, he calls me and tells me what happened and said, don't go home, they're waiting for you. At this point, I hadn't talked to my mom in 2 years. I called my mother. I say, can I come and visit? I got some going on. And I stay there for a couple of days with my daughter and to try and figure it out. And But I'm at this point, because of my friend dying in Germany, I'm kind of paranoid, and I wear bulletproof vest and a gun on me at all times.
Yeah.
I have my phone turned off. I only turn it on when I have to talk to someone for a few minutes, and then I turn it off.
You don't want them to track you, right?
Yeah, I don't want them to track me at all, because I know they have connections in the police. And I also contact friends that I know that they don't know about from before.
Yeah.
And I kind of sleep at their places. I switch a lot, only go out at night and stuff like that.
Wow.
At one point, I'm so frustrated and paranoid that I just think, I can't do this anymore. We need to figure something out. I call up the new leader of the party, and after yelling at me for 15 minutes in the phone, I tell him that I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm not trying to steal anything or do anything. I just want out. How do we do this? And I make a promise to him that I'm not allowed to go out for the next year and say that I'm not a member anymore. Because from
you're not allowed to go out and say you're not a member. You have to keep saying you're a member.
Yeah, because he just got elected as head. It would look very bad for him if the vice president, he leaves 3 months after he was elected. For me, as I see it, his ego kind of saved my, you know.
Yeah.
And what actually happens afterwards is that I get a phone call from a guy, a drunk guy, sitting inside the cellar of the house, talking with someone else. And he's calling me and said, "Why? They say you're leaving. What's going on? Why have you left?" and stuff like that. And I just tell him, "No, I didn't feel it anymore, so I'm moving on with my life." Well, he doesn't understand, and he's drunk, so we just talk a little bit, and we hang up on each other. And then the next day, I get a call from the president, and no, sorry. The next day, I post on Facebook that I'm out, and then I get a call from him.
Has it been a year yet?
No.
How long?
It's been 7 months or something.
Long enough, basically, I think, right?
I would think so too, but he's angry. He said, "Why the f did you do that? We had a deal." I said, "But I thought that was broke because this guy, he called me yesterday. So it seemed like everybody knew. So I'm just playing dumb at this point. So it seemed like everybody knew. So I just wanted to explain myself. So I put it out there." And he tells me, "Okay, but I need to know who it is." So and I know there's no way around it. So I have to tell who called me that the day before.
The drunk guy.
And yeah, too bad for him. But it happens when you do stupid shit, you know. I saw my chance and I took it. The rest is history. But when that happened, it was like a load was put off me. It was like I was actually free. I could breathe again. And it was actually crazy because I went out and I went to a kebab place. I ate my first kebab. I never tasted it before. And I went to a barber, an Arab barber, and he cut my hair. And he asked me, "Do you want to shave as well?" I said, yeah, why not? And then he put a knife on my throat, and I was just sweating, you know. So in a little bit, he's just gonna say, I remember you from the newspapers.
Oh, you're thinking that, right?
I'm thinking that, you know, but of course nothing happened. He didn't care who I was as long as I paid, you know.
Yeah.
but
Oh
but
man.
it was, for me, it was kind of an experience.
Where does your life go from there?
Yeah, but it, for me, it's kind of, it opens up for everything. So I kind of go out and I want to experience everything that I haven't experienced because of being for 16 years. So I have sex with a foreigner, so because I have to try that, of course. And I go to a gay bar and talk to these gay people to find out why am I afraid of these people? I don't know them, and I talk to them and ask them questions. They probably think I'm stupid at this point, but I ask them a lot of questions because I'm interested. I want to know why I was afraid of these people. And basically, I figure out that there's nothing to be afraid of. They just like sex in a different way that I do. So there's and they have their own hobbies, their own things, and whatever. So there's nothing to be afraid of, and everything that I'm afraid of, I'm asking about, so I get an explanation. It's not an issue anymore. So that was kind of a rush, also experiencing this whole other world for the first time. But then this funny thing happens is that I get a depression because I realize now that I'm not Thomas anymore. Who am I? And I go in this deep depression. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. And I actually tried to, for the second time in my life. And it didn't work. I took some pills. And there's this guy next to me, my neighbor, is this weird guy that was in a 12-step program and stuff like that. I thought he was a nutcase, but after all this happened to me, I kind of, some of the things he said resonated with me, you know.
Yeah.
And he must have thought I was crazy, because one night, 3 o'clock at night, I come pounding on his door because I saw he had a light on. And I'm standing there with tears down my face, crying and telling him basically my whole life story. And I need help. He calls one of his friends, and his friends takes me to a meeting in something called ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, the next day. And this actually saved my life, because I realized that I'm not alone. There's other people that have these same feelings and thoughts as I have, and also there's actually something I can do about it. I don't have to go and feel like every day. I can actually go to these meetings, and there's this program, the 12 steps I can take, so I can physically do something to try and get better. And it's coming to these meetings and hear people talk about their feelings. Actually, someone asking me for the first time in my life, how do you feel? I didn't know how I felt. Nobody asked me that before. I'm 35 years old. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel.
Usually people answer, I'm fine. And then you know that, right? Yeah, I'm fine. And
yeah, of course.
it's uncomfortable. when you're sober and you're starting to see life in a different aspect,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
But I had closed down all my feelings my whole life to survive as a kid, but it was killing me as an adult. So I had to figure out how to unlock all of it and
Yeah.
have some new coping mechanisms that's actually healthy for an adult person. But sitting at these meetings every day, every week, for years, listening to other people talk about their feelings actually helped me learn about my feelings.
Yeah.
Because I could hear this guy always, when he's doing this and feeling this and they're doing this to him, he's mad. Okay, that's how I feel in those situations, and actually acknowledging it, that it's okay. I'm mad or I'm sad, and I don't. It doesn't. I'm not dying because I have these feelings.
Yeah.
That was actually a big thing for me, figuring out that it's okay for you to have these feelings, but also learning that you don't have to act like a prick because you're angry. That took a while.
Why you did that a lot, acted like that towards people?
Yeah, I did.
Hey,
Uh,
you aren't the only person to do that, you know?
I know. It was, and it's still a process, getting better and finding out that alcohol was not really my main drug of choice. My main drug of choice was actually sex. I've been a sex addict as well. I was, yeah, I say now I can say I was abused when I was 14 by a woman that was 37, because I was at a party and I was the only one that wasn't drunk and wasn't asleep at
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock in the morning when she wanted to. So that's what happened. And for me, at that point in time, I don't remember anything, any positive feelings in my body at all until that happened. So I didn't see it as abuse. I thought it was love. So I kind of mixed sex with affection,
Yeah.
because I never felt I have any affection from my parents. My father always treated me like a prick, and my mother, she never really showed any emotions. That was her way of coping with her issues.
Yeah.
She also had parents that she grew up at a bar with her parents drinking, and she was abused as a child and stuff like that. So she also had a lot of cross to bear, and that was her way to cope with it. So she didn't know how to give her kids, us, love and affection, because she never got any from her parents. So it's this bad cycle that just goes on and on.
Exactly. It's a cycle and it just never stops
Yeah.
until you decide to put an end to it and then you stop it.
Yeah, I hope that my kids won't feel the same as I did. I'm a little worried about my oldest daughter, because she had a really very rough with her mother choosing very violent and abusive, drunken husbands, and when they died because of alcohol or disease, she found another just like him. So that was kind of the environment that my oldest daughter grew up in, even though I didn't see her as much when she was younger.
Yeah.
So she has some issues. I hope that she can work on them when she's ready.
Where do you go from there? Because you end up traveling and going to Thailand and going to these different places. What makes you go to these places? Like, what was the reason for you to go? And when do you get involved with the club?
Yeah, actually, I was sober and clean for about 3 years, and then I'm at an AA convention, and I see this guy from a motorcycle club, a clean and sober motorcycle club, and he wears a patch, and there's a couple of other guys with the same patch, and I listened to him talk about his life at one of the meetings, and something clicks in me because I only been clean for 3 years at this point, but I still remember the lifestyle, and in my head I kind of glorify it a bit. It's you always remember the good things.
Sometimes you do that. I do it too. I'm like, oh, that's nice, or it would be nice to do this, but then I think of all the repercussions and the way I used to live, and I'm like, nah, there's no way I can go back to that.
Exactly, but I joined this organization, and I was actually I had at that point in that club's history, I had the shortest prospect period that any prospect had ever had. We were at the one that kind of switched it, where they made me a full patch, where I was good at everything. I did everything I was supposed to, but we were at a funeral in Sweden. One of the members, his mother was dead, and he had a very close connection to her. And he felt very bad about it and was very emotional. And at that point, I was just a regular prospect, and I was supposed to make the food for ready for next morning. So I was in the kitchen. I hadn't been to bed at this point, and it was 3 o'clock at night. He got up and he was just sitting there. I could see that he was sad, so I sat and talked with him till about 6 o'clock, 6 and 7 in the morning, and then I started making breakfast. So I didn't sleep. I just talked to him, and we had a nice personal conversation. And the other guys, they respected that, and that's why I became a full patch in under 6 months, and I became a sergeant at arms, and later I became vice president in my own chapter in under 3 years.
Wow.
And then it just started getting downhill from there, because many of the people that was in my chapter, they were not going to meetings, and they had this attitude from the old life, and they were doing some shady things on the side. So they were not doing drugs and alcohol, but they weren't really that clean, They just put the bottle aside, but they had the same behavior as they always did. Yeah.
That happens to a lot of people. A lot of people will stop doing whatever it is that they're addicted to, and they'll still live that same lifestyle. They'll still be lying to people and stealing, and they'll still have them addictive behaviors.
Yeah. I was at a meeting once where a woman that had 45 years sobriety, she said it took her 20 years. It took her one day to get clean, but it took her 20 years to stop acting like an addict. So it takes a long time for you to change your mindset. But these people, they were definitely not there. And at one point in time, we had 2 members who relapsed, and instead of helping them, the president, he just threw them out of the club. So he could go to the mother chapter in America and say, "Oh, we have no relapses in our chapter."
Just keep them
And
out so that it's just like, yeah, I get it.
exactly. And then about 3 months later or something like that, one of them dies in a car accident. And it was a little shady if he had taken something or he hadn't. They didn't really know. But I took it very personally because I liked the guy. And I thought that we as a club failed him because we threw him out instead of helping him. So I took this up to an international level. And for that, I was kicked out of my chapter, put in bad standing. But after 3 months, they put me in good standing because my president, he had skimmed the money from the chapter over a longer period of time. So after I became in good standing, I didn't want anything to do with the club. And I met some other guys, and I thought, well, first of all, I tried to find other clubs to join. Actually, I tried to join some Christian clubs because I thought, well, maybe Christian, they can act better. They are better people, I thought, but I was wrong. I actually felt, at least the Christian clubs we have in Denmark, I felt like I just switched, like I was before, and now I just switched my Kampf with the Bible. They were acting the same way. Like if you weren't Christian, you were just like scum of the earth, and they didn't respect anybody else. And that's not the kind of person I am. I didn't get sober to treat people like shit and think that I'm better than anyone else. So that didn't work. And then I met this guy at a church I was at, a Baptist church, and I talked to this guy and told him about all the Christian clubs I met and all the things I've been through. And he was riding a BMW at the time, and he said to me, "Well, why don't you make your own club? I can join. I have a motorcycle." So I thought about it for 10 minutes. And then I just wrote the bylaws, made the patches, the name and everything. The name of our club is Knights of St. Anthony. We are a spiritual club based on the principles of the 12-step program. Most of our members are former addicts, former gang members, or soldiers with PTSD. And at this time, we are Europe's largest clean and sober club, or fellowship. Sorry, we are over 100 members in 7 different countries.
Because there's like a federation, right? Do you have to go to the federation of clubs to get permission to start this club?
Yeah, in Denmark, we actually got permission to fly a 3-piece patch. But when we started up chapters in Norway and Sweden, it's a whole different world. They have different rules. If you're a 3-piece patch club, you have to be affiliated to one of the big 4. And
so we kind of like a support club, right?
Yeah, you have to choose a side. You can't be neutral if you have a 3-piece patch. So we tried in Norway and Sweden for a while, but our Norwegian chapter, they couldn't do it. They had to do errands for 1% clubs and stuff like that, and they said we can't do that because we're not that kind of club. So they wanted to go one patch, but they were afraid that they would be like a club in the club, because they choose to go one patch, and in Denmark and Sweden we have a 3-piece patch. So at this point, I'm sitting at a meeting with the the national president from Norway, Sweden, and me from Denmark. And when our president from Norway, he voices his concerns, I just look at the national president from Sweden, and we just say at the same time, we all go one patch. So that's what we did, and that made things a lot easier for us to start up in other places.
So you guys went one patch just for that one charter that was having problems.
Yeah, because we are family. We have to stick together. And we don't want them to feel that they were kind of lesser members if they should have a different patch than us. So that's the decision we made for the brotherhood.
Wow,
of the club.
That shows right there what kind of club you are.
Yeah, I actually think so. But it's been a ride. We at one point we tried to start up a chapter in England, and England is a whole other beast. You know, there's every street have their own 1% club in some cities. So other clubs in Denmark, they just said, forget about it. It's not gonna happen. And I said, I have 10 guys that wants to be members. I have to try. At least I have to do something to show them that this can be possible. And we were ignored, and there were so many things going on. Even we were threatened by a Christian club.
What? Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about getting threatened by a Christian club.
Yeah, we were threatened by a Christian club because their national president called me up and personally at a Skype call and said that, you can understand that it's not good to have you here. And I was kind of, no, we are doing this. So you can either help us or you can step out of the way. And he became more and more personal and said that, yeah, I know a lot of these guys, and a lot of our guys, they're from this 1% club, and they're not going to have you riding around with a cross on your back because we are the only Christian club with a cross on the back in England. And I said, we are not a Christian club. It doesn't matter. You have a cross on your back. We don't care. We don't want you here. I just told him, when we're going to do what we're going to do, and then we have to see what's going to happen, you know. And we hung up, and then the club, this particular Christian club, most of their members, almost all of them, is from one specific 1% club. And so this 1% club, they start calling our prospects, threatening them. And at one point, they even start texting them pictures of their wife at work and their children at school.
Wow.
Yeah. We are, at this point, we're getting ignored by, we contacted the local 1% club, and we want permission to ride, and they're kind of, at first, they put up all these rules, and they want changes to our patches and all kinds of to try to discourage us. And every time they come up with a new thing, we just say, okay, we'll do it. And because we're doing this every time, at one point they're not answering their phone anymore. So we haven't heard from them for, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. And my president in England, he's saying, what do we do? We can't just keep on waiting. We need to do something. So we decided just put on the patch, start riding. And after I don't know, a month or so. They are at a motorcycle rally, and this particular club shows up, and they don't like it very much.
Oh, so they're
So
pretty angry at that rally.
yeah, they tell my guys there that they need to show up the next day at a meeting at a specific address. And my president is like, "Yeah, we are coming. We are showing up." And maybe they didn't like that as well. I don't know, but because they went away and talked a bit, and then they came back and told him that you don't need to come to the meeting. We just don't want you in England anymore. And if we next time we see you, we'll shoot at you. That's what he said.
So how
And
how are things now?
yeah, my president, he was kind of a little cold about it. He said, "Thomas, I rode around with a bulletproof vest once. I can do it again." But I told him that's not what we are about. We can't do that. So for everybody's safety and the club and everything, we have to shut the chapter down.
Damn, that sucks though. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you do? What do you do when you're stuck in that situation where this group's not happy and you can't live by other people's demands all the time, you know?
No, that's true. But it would be another thing if they came to my personal house and demanded my patch.
That's different.
That's different.
Yeah.
But in this case, we are a recovery club, and fighting this, that won't be in line with any recovery. So we decided that was the best move to make and just bide our time. And at this point, there's something in the works, and by now we are so big, and we existed now for over 10 years, so we have a lot of respect in the motorcycle community all around the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something going on in England. I can't say much now, but next year that will be something official, I think.
Yeah,
and
England has a pretty wild motorcycle club community.
Yeah, but it's very wild, because you can if you ride down a wrong street, then you're in someone else's turf, and then you're in deep all of a sudden. So it's the same thing as in Australia. 250 bikers get killed every year.
Yeah.
And some of those shootings are just a guy driving somewhere where he's not supposed to. And they don't know his path, so they'll just shoot.
What about New Zealand? New Zealand's pretty wild too.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know much of New Zealand's history, but I heard some of it is pretty bad.
They have patch bans now, and you can't even wear a patch in public.
Yes, sometimes in Australia you're not even allowed to have tattoos.
Yeah, same thing in New Zealand. No tattoos.
Yeah, damn.
So you are in Thailand now.
Yeah, I'm in Thailand.
What makes you go from Denmark to Thailand, and you have a club out in Thailand now?
No, we don't have a chapter here yet, but we're working on it. The reason why I'm here, because last year I was at an AA convention in Sweden, and I met a Swedish woman that has a house in Thailand, and so that's why I'm here now. And we actually get married this summer. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
things are changing for you now, right?
Yeah, things are changing. We also, yeah, my personal life is changing. I got a good woman for once. She not just looking good. She actually is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Most good looking women are not very good, especially not for me. But she's the exception. And yeah, the club is growing. A lot of things is going on social media as well. So my whole life, it's like um, all the years I done, all the bad shit I done, and all the things I've been through. It's paying off now because I can actually use it in a positive way to help other people, and it makes it all worth it. Uh, because if I couldn't use my past in a positive way, it would be very hard for me to live with everything I've been through my whole childhood and as an adult. So I feel, in a way, I feel blessed that I have experienced all this turmoil in my life, and I feel like I'm kind of reaping the benefits now of all the hard work and everything I've been through. So and making a club from the ground up at the size it is now in only 10 years, that's also hard work.
Yeah,
So
especially with the competition. Like you said, there's Christian clubs that don't want you guys around. So
yeah, but when actually the Federation of Clubs, when we started up in Poland, there's this, they have every year in Poland, they have in Warszawa, they have kind of a congress where all the big clubs meet, and then it's a whole weekend where they talk and discuss things. But the first day, new clubs are allowed to come and visit and present themselves. And we did that the first day. It's now 4 or 5 years ago. We started in Poland, and we were there on the first day of the Congress. And these presidents of all the clubs, they said, "Yeah, that sounds good, but we're not taking any new. We are not allowing any new clubs in Poland." And our president, yeah, but we are actually not a new club because we have chapters in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. And then they just look at each other. Okay. So then it was okay then, I guess.
yeah, I guess you're good then.
That was kind of funny. And in Germany, when we started up there, I have it was actually, I feel sorry for the guy. He was in the other club I was in as well, the other Clean and Sober club.
Yeah.
And he started up a club around the same time I did, and he did all the right things to get permission. They only have the upper patches. After 7 years, they're not allowed to wear anything else. And because of my former president in Germany, his wife, if I understand it right, she was a Hells Angels widow. So she just went down to the local chapter and said, "This is what we're doing," and they said, "Okay." And we just opened a full chapter at once without any probation or anything.
Wow.
So it's who you know.
Definitely.
It has a lot to do with it, and we went to other 1% clubs in Germany to make sure that everything was fine. And the only thing they were interested in, did you pay to get permission? Did you pay the other club? because if you pay them, you have to pay us as well. But we didn't pay, so we didn't have to pay anybody else.
Everyone's
So
got their hand out, right?
yeah, that's true.
So do you guys let black members in?
Yeah, but we don't have any. We do. We also we had some we had a small club some years ago of Muslims in Holland that wanted to join, but it didn't work out for some reason. We have our biggest chapter is actually in Holland now. There are almost 40 members. I keep telling them to divide their chapter because there are too many, but it's working for some reason. I don't know why. Usually it doesn't work when you have such a big chapter, but
Yeah.
they have some good karma, I guess.
Do you have a chapter in America?
We are starting up actually as we speak. We had a chapter once. There's some funny stories about that as well. We had a chapter in I have PTSD, so sometimes I forget names of persons and areas and something like that. But we had in a state close to Canada, and it was actually a chapter from another.
On the East Coast or the West Coast?
East Coast.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York,
Vermont. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we got a chapter from another clean and sober club, and they joined us. They got patched over as probates, and at that point of time, there was 3 other clubs in. This is the way I was told the story. There was 3 other clubs that was okay the same year, and there was at this point there was only 1% club in that area. And then a rival club starts up a chapter in the same state. Then we get invited to a party with the other clubs. They get in. I was told that they get in at this bar, and the president is standing from this 1% chapter with a gun in his pants, and come in, sit at the bar, everybody. And there are presidents of these 4 clubs. He tells them that this new 1% is now coming to our state. So from now and forward, you are now supporter clubs to our club. And no one says anything. Only person that says something is our president, and he says, "I'm sorry, we can't do that." And they just look at him and say, "Why not?" Well, because we have members that are former bandits and angels, and we have members from all the big 4s. So we can't choose a side. We're a recovery club. That won't work.
Yeah.
And this guy says, "Well, that's the way it's going to be." And then our president, he gets up, he takes his vest off, goes outside, put it in his saddlebag, and takes a smoke. And then this guy, he comes out, and he said, "Tell me about this club of yours." And they have a discussion, or he tells them what the KOSA is. Knights of St. Anthony. St. Anthony is the patron saint of lost souls. He listens to him, and then he goes back inside, and then he says to my president, "Come with me, put your jacket on." And then they go inside again, and then he says to these 3 presidents, says, "You see that guy? He has more balls than you 3 put together." So we were allowed to play solo as the only chapter, but as fate would have it, 3 months later, our president, he steals all the money and closed the chapter down. So, what do you know?
Hey, maybe you'll get it going again, right?
I think we'll get it going. Not the same place, but we have something going on. It's not official yet, so I don't want to say anything before it's okayed and in the bag.
So what's in store for the future for you and for this club?
Yeah, I have what I've been working on with the club is that I want our club to be the world's largest clean and sober motorcycle fellowship before 2030. I think that's going to happen. That looks doable. And for me, I wrote 3 books about my life. I'm writing a 4th book right now. That's one of the reasons also why I'm here in Thailand. And this new book is about sex addiction. So that should be interesting. And then next year, I think there will be a book about the club's history, because I think now it's about time. There's so many anecdotes and funny stories about and also drama about people on the inside trying to tear us apart. So that will be fun to write a book about that as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm getting married, and I'm just trying to do some good. And I'm doing that on social media as well, and in English, so most people can understand.
Yeah.
And just trying to do good. I actually done. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while. Paying it forward, and I do that a lot down here when I'm kind of relaxing. Then that we were at a restaurant where you have this cheap, very nice Thai food, and they didn't have any ashtrays for customers. And I eat there every day, and my girlfriend is smoking. She's not.
You can still smoke out there?
Yeah, you can smoke anywhere you want. So and they never had an ashtray for her. So I like, we go to the store, we buy 10 ashtrays, we get them back and give it, and I just give them to the store, and they were happy about it. And we got a free milkshake. I don't drink milk. It's bad for my stomach, but I drank it anyway. It hurt all day, but I did it because I want to be polite.
Yeah.
But small things like that. A man that's he looks like a homeless man. He goes around the area in the middle of the city where there's these booths where you can buy all kinds of different foods, and you can sit in the middle and eat. And he always takes away the garbage. And every day we're there, I give him some money. There's some dogs, stray dogs. I feed them. I give them water, because a lot of people feed the dogs, but they forget they need water as well.
Yeah.
So, and I try to do things like that, try to give some good things back. I don't make videos about it and put it on YouTube. I just do it because I think it makes me feel good, and it makes other people feel good. And I think it's important to do. You don't have to do big things. You don't have to tell people about it. Just do it.
It sounds like you got a pretty good thing going, and it's amazing how far you've come.
Thank you.
It really is. I appreciate you taking the time Is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we go?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my brothers in my big KOSA Nation family, because without them, I wouldn't be here today. They made this possible. They made a dream and an idea I had. They made it a reality. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I look forward to hearing from you in the future, and I wish you nothing but success.
The same to you, and hopefully we can do this again someday, maybe.
Yeah, we will, definitely. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, start your own podcast. Peace.